So lads, today is going to be one of maybe the most important days in my team history, because I personally think that it is a change that is needed. I think there are positives and negatives to what happened today, and I'm going to try to address as many of them as possible, because I know simultaneously people are really happy and people are really upset. I know probably wearing a snuggie that says game over, but I would rather not be cold making this video, pretty much. But lads, I don't think anyone's right or wrong with this, but I think that long term, this will simultaneously minimize the impact of MT selling. I'm not going to say that it will, I'm not going to say that it'll completely kill it, but I have a feeling, I'm going to put my theories out there. I don't know anything. And I cannot stress this enough that I don't know anything. I know that these are the type of videos that are probably watched internally and through the company, which is why I'm going to give one major suggestion that I really, really want them to take in board. If any of my weird conspiracy theories happen to be correct, I don't know anything. I don't know. I know absolutely nothing that is going on. I am making guesses. So, lads, what has happened today? The way packs are in game are completely different. They have completely changed. So, you guys can see right here as far as interstellar packs go. They now have a 10% chance at a 97 overall card. But the 10% chance is not of all of them. So, you guys can see just written here. It gives you a combination or a chance of 4 items with a chance of pulling a stellar player. Did I call it interstellar? I mean stellar player, and a chance to receive a bonus non-auctionable stellar player. So, you have a chance of pulling one. I've seen people pull 2 of the same cards, one auctionable, one non-auctionable in one pack. I've seen people pull 2 non-auctionable of the same cards in the same pack. And a lot of people, one problem that a lot of people have with this, obviously odds are better, is that, for example, here, you guys can see it's 10% 97 plus. There is a significantly higher chance of getting an unauctionable than an auctionable player. There is. I'm seeing so many pictures on Twitter of people with like their duplicates, and they'll open like a 20 box and they'll get freakishly good odds. Like they'll open a 20 box and pull 4 opals or something, which instead of a 10% chance of freaking, or they'll pull 5. I think I saw 5 was the most I saw as dupes. What did the guy go? What did he pull then? Like 25% instead of 10%, which is kind of nuts. But yeah, like not crazily good big odds, but like it can happen. But for that guy, he had to basically put them all in for Hall of Fame badges. I like the fact you can get a Hall of Fame badge for an opal now. I think it makes, at least you get a duplicate, it makes it a lot better. But I think I saw Ty make a suggestion and basically saying, because of the chance of a duplicate unauctionable, literally pull these packs until you get your first opal and then quit. Which again, is something. I actually think, from looking at the auction house, from seeing the fact that there are more chets than there were any other opals we saw, there were also more diamonds and amethysts, which is huge because the odds are actually lower for getting diamonds and amethysts today than last week. But you're seeing more diamonds and more amethysts on the auction house. Even pink diamonds, like, if you want to look at Marc Gasol. If you want to look at Marc Gasol right here, the supply is big. Like, the supply of this is huge. And, like, all the cards are normally like 30k. Pink diamonds when they come out. Gasol's cheap. I'm going to buy him. I think he's one of the best centers in the game. But I think I'm like, again, I might be an exception to that. But like, all these guys normally, pink diamonds when they come out, are 40 to 50k. That's normally the going rate on one of these guys. When you look at, say, let's just say stellar, diamond, theme stellar. So if it was a case where everyone's only pulling unauctionable cards and less people are pulling packs, which is crazy because a lot of like the biggest whales, they'll be buying a lot of packs, are banned. So you would think that there would be a hit in packs. But like, you're looking at the diamonds price, normally they're around like 8 to 10. So you look, an hour and 14, they're cheaper than that. Like, you're probably going into the 6k range. Yeah, like you're in the 6k range and you're buying Channing Frye. Channing Frye is cheaper than last week, and so is Bob Sura. These guys are cheaper than the diamonds. These are 2 cheapest diamonds we've seen in a long time. And like, both of them are cheap. It's not like one of them's cheap and the other one's expensive. Both of these guys have gone really cheap because the supply is greater. I'll take my hollow one. Shout out Jay. Oh, I didn't get my hollow. And then if you want to look at amethysts, which had been roughly around the 2000 MT mark, And the good amethysts around the 3,000 MT mark, these are good ass amethysts. And they're still incredibly cheap. They're all still like less than 2.5 KMT, which is, or 2.5 KMT, which is around the going rate. So even though the odds of pulling an amethyst has halved, so the supply of amethyst should have halved. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. But yet the supply hasn't. So I reckon 2 times the amount of packs are open this week. So if you're from 2K's perspective, it's clear that more packs were open this week than any other week. From just looking at the odds, from looking at the amount of even diamonds and amethysts on the market, more packs were open and pink diamonds. Not necessarily pink diamonds, but they were opened. Including unauctionable. So nothing's going to change. And what do I think this has done for the game? And if you are somebody that opens a lot of packs with MT, I would suggest to stop right now. It is a guarantee, basically, that if you open packs with MT, you're going to lose MT. It is as good as a guarantee. You have maybe a 0.01% chance of making money on a given pack. That's wrong, because you can get the unauctionable versions, but whatever. Like, if you are someone who's opening packs with MT, you're going to lose MT a lot quicker than you previously have. Like, the only chance of you making a profit on a pack is if you pull one of the top 3 cards. Or more than 4 or 5k profit. And the difference is that now, if you get an unauctionable card, you're making huge losses. So that is one of the big issues with it. I'm going to say it right now. That is a huge issue with it. Is that if you are an MT puller, I would advise you to just stop pulling packs with MT. But on the flip side, if you pay for a 450, you can open 45 packs. If 2K continue the way things are right now, it's highly likely, and 450 is $100, by the way. It's highly likely that you can get all 3 of the best. You're going to get all 3 of the best cards in that. If you spent $100, and then as well as that, you might be saying, oh, but like all of the unauctionable players, you're gonna probably get a couple of auctionable cards. You're probably gonna get, let's just say, previously, when everything was auctionable, if you put in 450k MT, or if you put in 450k VC, and everything was auctionable, and you tried to liquidate that into MT, you would probably get on average of about 100k back. And 100k wouldn't get you any of the top 3 cards. And now you're probably getting the top 3 cards. And with the way the unauctionables are extras. We cannot forget that. The unauctionables are bonuses. And that's what it says here. They have literally just added bonus unauctionables. So there is a potential chance that the odds of pulling an Opal auctionable is the exact same as previously, except they have now added a bonus unauctionable player into the packs for the packs being the same price. So I don't understand how that's objectively a bad thing. We are objectively in a better position than we were last week. Because they literally added a potential bonus unauctionable player on top of, like, a worst case scenario. They have added a bonus unauctionable player on top of previously bad odds, with the odds of the bonus unauctionable player being boosted. Because again, the unauctionable players are bonuses. Every unauctionable player is a bonus, and I think this is what people don't necessarily understand. If you pull an unauctionable high overall player, if this was last week, you wouldn't have pulled the player. Because that bonus didn't exist. That bonus card didn't exist. We can have an entire conversation about whether or not it's a good or a bad thing, but I think anyone arguing that it is worse than last week is objectively wrong. Because all they did was add a bonus unauctionable player into packs, and I don't think that's what people understand. Because obviously, I understand where people's mentality is. If you get a Ben Simmons and it's unauctionable, and you get a duplicate Ben Simmons that's unauctionable, you're going to get angry being like, oh, like, these are unauctionable. If it was any other week, I would have, we would have been able to sell them. The way the packs are, if this was last week, you wouldn't have gotten either Ben Simmons. So as annoying as it is, as frustrating it is to get duplicates, if you have got a duplicate unauctionable, because they are bonus cards, in reality, if there were no bonus cards and there were no unauctionable bonuses, you wouldn't have gotten either of them. You would have gotten none of them. And we go back to the same crap that we had for years. So is this a perfect solution? No, I actually don't think it is. But is it objectively better than we had last week? Yes. Because everyone's thinking about, oh, unauctionable this, unauctionable that. But the more I look at the wording, the more they're literally saying they're adding in a bonus. So they're literally just putting in an unauctionable bonus player with with juiced odds of these unauctionable players. Look, I'm not all for it. I don't think it's perfect. But it's 2K trying to get people to buy more VC, and it makes sense. So when it comes to bans, I think the reason they're doing a ban wave is, first of all, to try to scare people straight. But everybody's like, oh, 2K aren't going to ban people. I have a weird theory about the bans. And it's that, basically, it's that 2K had a system, a flagging system, and a banning system that they're really pushing this year. Because they've gone on ban waves so many times, by the way, and most people slip through the cracks. So clearly in the past, whenever they did ban waves, and a lot of the time in ban waves, they used to only ban people that were legit. Like in 2K21, they only banned guys that were no money spent. It was a really weird one. So they've had the reason why I don't think we've seen bans in the past is they've had a really flawed system. And as much as I hate to say it, there are people that were legit that got banned, people that didn't get banned and people that didn't get banned that weren't legit. But it was such a small number of either false bans or false not bans that I think that their current system, that they were waiting for their current system to work, and they're going to launch it. I think the ban hammer is going to be I think the sweeps are going to be a daily thing. And I think it's going to be harder and harder to purchase MT onto your account. What I can see happening for MT sellers, because we've all seen how much they go and how much MT they're farming, is I think those guys aren't going to stop. What I think is going to happen is there's going to be a change in how they interact, and they're probably, instead of selling like 100k MT on farm accounts, I wouldn't be surprised if they build up 10 million MT on a farm account and you go onto these websites and you can buy accounts with preloaded MT on them, a little bit like with FIFA coins, and they had to do. And because again, it's harder and harder to buy FIFA coins now. If you're buying FIFA coins, it's harder and harder to get away with that and not get banned. And I think 2K are going on that path. I think it's always going to be a risk, but I think the risk had basically been almost negated of getting banned for years. I don't know anyone who got freaking banned last year, but like everyone, and I don't think I know anyone who got banned up until last week. I think the risk is significantly higher. But what has happened now is, I think that a big reason, we all say it, we all complained, and for anyone complaining about this, if you were a person who complained and said, we wanted packs, or we felt the need to buy MT because I wanted to get X card and I didn't want to have to, and pack odds were so bad that I could have never got it, or I want to save a bunch of money. I reckon it's, the way the odds are right now, it's probably cheaper if you're opening packs now to just pull till you get all three of these guys than it would have been to buy MT previously and buy them off the auction house, as well as that without risking getting banned. The issue is that they're unauctionable and you can't sell them again, but that's another story. What they've done right now is, even though MT will always be undercutting VC, 2K have made it so that the value you get out of VC is closer to MT. The value you get out of VC is significantly significantly better today than it was yesterday. If you previously, again, opened 450k worth of VC, there's a high likelihood you got nothing, as well as that you were able to sell all your cards for 100k VC, and if you were lucky you get 150k VC back. But now if you open a 450, the high likelihood is that you've pulled the entire set unauctionable. In a 450, the high likelihood is you've pulled every one of these guys unauctionable, and on top of that, you've got the cards you've already had, because every unauctionable card is a bonus. And that is the one thing I don't think people don't really understand, is that every unauctionable card is a bonus. So now it's in a position where you've already got you're not going to lose any money on what you've sold. So if there were no unauctionable cards and they just weren't in the game, they just weren't there, you would still, and you previously would get 100k for 450, you're still getting 100k for 450, but now you're highly likely getting every card in the set. So it's a better system. Is it perfect? No. And there's one huge issue I have with the whole thing. And it's the fact that you still need to gamble. It's the fact that this crap is still here. Draws and Petrus, why the hell is this here? What my suggestion would be is, because again, a 10-pack box, on average, with the 10% chances of pulling a Galaxy Opal, a 10-pack box on average is going to get you one Galaxy Opal, and it's 99,000 VC. I think that this is something that will get a lot more people regularly putting in money into the game. So, 75,000 VC. I think 75,000 VC, because again, you get highly likely, you get a Galaxy Opal in this 10-pack box. And then you get all the other stuff you can sell and everything. For an option pack, Galaxy Opal Headliner option pack, where for 75,000 VC, you can get an unauctionable version of one of the 3 headliners. Because at the end of the day, what 2K want to do is they want people to stop buying MT. They need to make VC more valuable, and I do think they made VC more valuable. As much as, like, I like it, but I understand why people hate it, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But there needs to be an option to spend VC without gambling. I hate gambling. And I'm saying this right now as someone who is dead set against gambling. I'm not dead set against microtransactions. I think microtransactions are a choice. If someone wants to buy a card, if they don't want to buy a card, fine. I think it's a product in a game. My stance has never changed on that. I'm incredibly against gambling. Do I feel like it makes any difference whether I gamble or not? No. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to gameplays on channels, for content creation, this is 100 times easier. Like, but I don't think that in a 3+ game, we should ever be encouraging people to gamble. But I think that a lot of the time there are kids that want specific cards. They might have gotten money for Christmas. They might have gotten something. I think giving them the option to put money into the game without gambling is so important. And based on the value of an individual pack, based on the value of a 10-pack and a 20-pack box, I think, because again, a 20-pack box, if the odds are right, you're pulling 2 out of the 3. I think 75k is the perfect point for one of your choice. And from 2K's perspective, I think it makes them more money because they are getting people to spend money even if they don't want to gamble. Because, let's be real, when people are complaining about this game being pay to win, I think MT sites made the game more pay to win than ever. I think a lot of people that were defending the MT sites are now kind of like... I think for anyone who was defending buying MT in the way of I needed to buy MT to get good cards, this has negated that entire thing. Because buying $100 was about 2 million. Was it? About 2 million? And to get the way prices were going, 2 million was not getting you all 3 headliners. And 2 million, and the equivalent is you're getting you all 3 headliners right now. So it's kind of negated that. But the people that I do feel sorry for, I think the vast majority of the community don't interact with the auction house. They might, and by the vast majority, I don't mean the community, I mean of the player base, sorry. Don't know anything about any of these cards. Just see, oh cool, Ben Simmons. And they're opening packs anyway. I think the vast majority of the player base probably don't even know what an agenda is. So I don't think this affects them in any way. But what this is a kind of negative for is like I initially said it was a negative, and my initial thoughts was that I was like, this is a negative for everyone who's no money spent. And it's a negative for everyone who's no money spent and has accrued a huge amount of MT, which unfortunately is like 0.001% of the player base. And it is the section of the player base that I can guarantee you 2K is not going to do anything towards. And as much as I hate it, it's the truth. Because I'm like, okay, cards are going to be way more expensive because the supply is going to be lower because there's more unauctionable. But the more I read it, and I'm like, the very clear word is it's bonus auctionable. So it does appear that, so the way it's worded, it's highly likely that it's the 2% chance at an auctionable, or less than 2%, or probably 9%, maybe 1% chance at an auctionable, 9% chance at an unauctionable, which is a little bit bad. But also, the chance of an unauctionable Galaxy Opal is the exact same as the chance of an unauctionable last week. It's just you have the extra ones. So when I was like, people opening packs, because every time you get 2 cards for an unauctionable or auctionable one, or if you get whatever, every pack you get 2 cards. So I don't think it's really going to affect it that much. It's literally just giving a bonus in every single pack of an unauctionable player. I initially thought that it was a huge, my initial like thing was that it was a huge negative for no money spent players, because I was like, oh, there's going to be way less auctionable versions on the market. I actually think it's going to be the opposite. I think a lot of people that are pulling packs and pull an auctionable version of a card are going to sell it, because it's highly likely if they have an auctionable version of the card, they have an unauctionable. So I think the most people you're going to be seeing running these Galaxy Opals are going to be running unauctionable versions. And for no money spent guys that don't want to open packs, I think there's going to be actually an abundance of auctionable cards on the market while the demand is low. Oh, sorry, the demand is lower because people are going to get them in packs and the supply is going to be higher. So I think it's going to be decent for that. I hope that I can get my points across well in this video. I think the most important thing is giving an option that they can get these cards without gambling from 2K's perspective. I think that is the most important thing. And my whole thought process around this changed when I realized that the odds are that the way it's worded is the unauctionable cards are bonuses. And I think that's something that everyone's missed. But the one thing that I will say is that if you go and just pull a whole bunch of duplicate unauctionable players, even though, again, you're getting a whole bunch of hoffs, it's better than last week. Mentally wise, you're thinking, oh crap, this is BS. And I understand that thought process. Because logically, as someone who doesn't open packs, I can make this point. If I was someone who is opening packs and I just pulled a bunch of unauctionable players, even though in reality, if this was last week, you would have pulled nothing. If you're getting duplicate unauctionable players, it still, in people's psyches, is a negative. So, I understand people being angry towards it. I understand a lot of situations where people are angry. I understand a lot of the MT sellers trying to like change the narrative a little bit on this. But I think what 2K have done is they have made it so that at least the gap is closing. It's not a case of you buying MT. I also think MT banning is going to be like that. I think that this only works is if they're on the money with MT buying. And does it make the game more pay to win? I don't know. We will see long term. In my opinion right now, this is an objectively not perfect. Not perfect. And I'm seeing people get really angry about pulling on auctionables and pulling MT, and I think that the point of the bonus means that everyone being like, oh, I lost all my MT because I got unauctionable players instead of auctionable ones. You didn't. You lost unauctionable players. If we have the attitude of unauctionable players are bonuses, which is what 2K say, you lost your MT because you pulled nothing. Because 2K's odds are actually trash. The only thing that makes 2K's odds in packs are awful, except for these bonus unauctionable cards. So we can have an entire conversation about that, but that's not the conversation people are having. I think that this is a step in the right direction. I think that we can't expect anything. I don't think we can expect anything that will hurt 2K's bottom line. I think the best case, I think this is close to being as consumer friendly as it gets, while also 2K making money. Because at the end of the day, 2K aren't going to do something that hurts their own pockets. But I think this is almost as close to consumer friendly as it gets, while also making 2K more money. And even though MT farming is always going to be a thing, there's always going to be MT and it's always going to be cheaper to buy MT. I think people are going to be Thanos snapped quickly. I think this, from a consumer perspective, this is better than it was. It's an improvement. Is it perfect? No. It's definitely an improvement. It has made MT cheaper. It has made the game mode cheaper. If you want to keep up with the best cards than it was previously, it has. I'm telling you for a fact, it has made the game cheaper. If there is not going to be, from 2K's perspective, it's going to stop the whole 1,000 people opening. If you rip $1,000, you're getting every single card in this current system. You're getting all of them. As of right now, you're not going to see any major pack opens, but I think you're going to see a lot more people loading up VC. And in my own psyche, I'm a lot more likely to load up VC right now because I know there's a high likelihood chance if I load up VC, I'll get the cards I want. Whereas previously, maybe not. I just want there to be an option. I'm saying this right now, I'm not no money spent out of anti-2K. I'm not no money spent. I will spend money at times. I love using budget cards. My mentality is not going to change around this. I'm seeing people lose their mind. I'm seeing people lose their minds on the duplicate untradables, but as far as logic goes, I think it's one of those things that when the emotions die down, which is what I've done while I'm recording this video now, when the emotions die down of it all and you take a step back, it's an objective positive. And you guys can hate me for this. You guys can hate me and say you're positive for 2K. I think there's no argument that it's worse than last week. There is literally no argument that it's worse than last week. And any argument can be debunked by saying The only arguments are untrade. Oh, I got duper untradables, and it can be debunked by saying, yeah, if this was last week without untradeable bonuses, you wouldn't have gotten either of the untradables. So at least you have one of the cards on a half badge. Like, you at least have one of them on a half badge. But yeah, that's pretty much it, lads. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Hopefully I got my points across. I know I ramble a little bit, but it's a DBG video. Let's be real. And yeah, I think this is an important video, a really important video to make. And I'm hoping that you guys have a different insight to this now. For anyone that's still annoyed at it and thinks that 2K hasn't done enough, I'm not going to argue that. I'm straight up not going to argue that. But for anyone who thinks 2K have put the game in a worse position now than it was yesterday for packs, take a step back, look at the totality of what they did, and look at how many more opals are being pulled by people. Look at how many more opals are in people's collections. Look at how many people are getting every card in the set while spending half, not even half the amount, 10% of the amount that they might previously have had. Even though it might be a frustrating thing for individuals, as a whole, for people playing my team, this is a good thing. Is it the best thing 2K can do? No. No, it's not. Am I going to be a person who keeps calling 2K out in their BS? Yes. But this is good. And I hate to be that guy hyping up something that people hate, because I know some of you guys think I'm this anti-2K no matter what type person and will complain no matter what about 2K with a complete agenda against the company. I'm a consumer at the end of the day. I'm a consumer, and I understand that we're not going to get everything perfectly, but I would rather things be pro-consumer more than I am anti-2K. I'm pro-consumer more than I'm anti-company. If you want to go and watch someone who's anti-2K, go watch JD. Go watch... There's a lot of guys that are anti-2K. There's a lot of guys that are really anti-2K, and with some of the stuff that's happened recently, you would think I am. I'm not. I'm pro-consumer. I care about the game. I care about the consumers. I couldn't care less about bashing the company, even if people in the company want to think that. So anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.